Hello, everybody, and welcome to our online training session for ISO and agents. Today, I am focusing on tobacco merchants. And as a result of today's session, I feel that you are going to be empowered to sell to tobacco merchants, specifically the merchant services, Clover point of sale, along with the solutions that we have specifically designed and developed for this industry. Our agenda for today will include the demographics of tobacco merchants. We also will cover the tobacco product as an anchor, and I'll explain what that means and why we use that particular product to identify and sort of target the merchant community. Needs driven by vendors, the manufacturers in that specific space, and then needs driven by the retailers, merchants in that space. We will then cover the solutions that are offered by CSI Works, and I will provide you with the contact information and other resources. To get started, the tobacco industry is measured at about 400,000 retailers in the United States. I feel that that number is very accurate because I've had several conversations with major manufacturers of tobacco products, one of the top three, and their numbers sort of confirmed our numbers. And I also had a couple of conversations with Clover, team on Clover that were sort of, measuring the market share, and their numbers sort of jived with these numbers as well. So the three of us, three companies, have independently came to the same conclusion. So I feel that these numbers are fairly accurate. Now, let me explain to you the whole anchor tobacco product as an anchor idea, because what you see here is kind of like a spectrum of type of retailers that would get involved with tobacco product. And that's what I mean by anchoring to tobacco product, because when you're focusing the solutions and your pitch to the merchants, specifically from the tobacco angle, what you're doing is you're anchoring everything to that product, and that will drive the type of merchants that you will get. And as a result, what you're going to land into is what we're showing you here is I want to kind of categorize them into three buckets, right? It's just easy to kind of deal with. And there's going to be very clear distinguishing factors that put them into one of these three buckets of the type of merchants that have tobacco product. On this one hand right here, we will have standalone products. And by standalone tobacco merchants, we mean that outside of tobacco world, they sell hardly anything else. And so you'll know exactly what I mean. Like, you'll find those stores that along with tobacco products, they'll start heavily getting involved into the vape industry, right? Because there's a huge type of product variance in the vape sphere. And then they will also get into the paraphernalia for maybe the weed industry or maybe the CBD industry that will include a lot of glass, the pipes, the grinders. So as I'm describing these stores, you see them, you know what I'm talking about. And so very often these stores will also get involved with CBD and Delta. Whether this is a good thing or not, entirely up to you. We're not here to argue that at all, but that will be the demographic of the stores. You will find them to be on the smaller size square footage wise, right? So you're looking for 200 to 400 square foot places. And the owners of these stores will usually have 1 to 5 locations under their belt. That would be your demographic of merchants that we're talking about here. They're a very good fit for Clover if you just address the whole CBD Delta thing. C store and the retail operators, the one that's in the middle, I feel is the bread and butter. This is the ones that you should strive to hit and identify. And they will be on a more traditional convenience store side, right? So like in Cali, we'll call them liquor stores. I know that on the East Coast, they will specifically be called convenience stores because liquor stores are the kind of stores that sell liquor, as opposed to items of convenience. And I do recognize the difference in having talked to hundreds of merchants across the United States that there's different state regulations that require the hard liquor to be sold separate from other items. In Cali, that's not the case. So we'll call this vertical, let's say, a liquor store, whereas I think that a C store, a convenience store, is probably a better distinction of what we're talking about, because along with tobacco products, you will very often see things like lottery, alcoholic, non-alcoholic beverages, snacks, chips, um, maybe check cashing abilities, and then very often you will also see them having a deli section. Later down in this presentation, I'm going to show you some pictures, and I'll point that out. And so these stores will tend to be on a bigger size than the first category, right? 300 to 700 square foot. The owners of these stores will generally have up to 10 locations. Obviously, there are exceptions to the rule. I'm talking about just, the average demographic. And these two groups together will represent about 80% of these verticals, right? So these are very small businesses that you will see across the nation. And the owners of these businesses usually have 1 to 10 locations. And they sell a lot of different item variants, but just on a smaller scale than the third group. The third groups are the conglomerates, the big chain operators, the gas stations. When I say somebody like a Circle K store, right, or Wawa, or the Pilot or Love's, right? So these are small stores, but these are huge chains. They are present across the nation. They are harmonized, synchronized, and they run on enterprise level software. You're not touching these merchants with Clover devices. I know this, you know this, so they're pretty much an exception. You can't come up to them, solve their problems if what you're leading with is Clover. So recognize the enterprise players and stay clear of them if what you're pushing is a Clover point of sale. Just stick to the small business operators, these first two groups, and you'd probably fare better. Let's move on. So this right here is the needs chart, and it's quite busy, but I'm here to kind of break it down and explain to you how everything on this is presented. And I feel that it's going to be fairly beneficial because just on one page, I've managed to capture all the needs or a set of needs that these retailers, merchants will have. And these needs are driven sometimes by the manufacturers or vendors or the retailers themselves, right? So we'll kind of go through all of that here. The very first thing I'm calling out is obviously the tobacco manufacturers, and they have things like tobacco scan data, onboarding, they have transaction level reporting, they have what's called multi-unit discounts and loyalty discounts. And let me first show you a little bit of information about who these vendors or manufacturers are. And you'll probably recognize these names easily if you are in the industry or if you're pitching these retailers or if you yourself are a consumer of these products. Altria is the company that owns the biggest brand, right? Marlboro, that's covered under Philip Morris umbrella. They also own the Copenhagen's and all those smokeless tobacco products. John Middleton has a line of products. Not familiar with individual brands, but things like Enjoy, JWC, that's all Altria. Helix is the new, it's like a smokeless product, but they're patches, I guess they're called. And so On is the brand. Reynolds has, also a significant amount of products under their umbrella. They have things that are running just under R.J. Reynolds, such as Newports, Camels, things like that. American Snuff Company would be the direct competitor to the USSTC. Santa Fe Natural Products would be the, you know, the natural cigarette brands. There's just one brand under it. Views is the vape play, electronic stuff. ITG is the company that's an abbreviation for Imperial Tobacco Group. And their brands are Winston, Salem, stuff like that. They have some cigar brands, and they have a blue brand that also is a vape. Been around for a while, and definitely has a market share presence. Very quickly, right? So when we're talking about needs or initiative driven by the manufacturers, the very first one I want to touch on is going to be Altria. They definitely are a leader in initiatives that are rolled out for their merchant and consumer community. The scan data reporting is the baseline, right? And so Altria has incentives for merchants that send transaction level data on a weekly basis to Altria. And those incentives are monetary, and also those incentives open up other opportunities, which are down below in the slide deck, which is multi-pack discounts, loyalty discounts, and then consumer trade, digital trade stuff. I'm going to touch on all of these right now, but the idea is that if you want to participate in the multi-pack discounts, you have to do scan data reporting. Same thing with loyalty, same thing with consumer data. So that's why, one unlocks the other. And so the reporting is when a merchant has to send on a weekly basis the transaction level data, the sale of only tobacco products, right? So they're not interested in things outside of their own world, just the tobacco products, transaction level data sent on a weekly basis to Altria. Multi-pack discounts are the type of discounts that are quantity driven. Combos, BOGOs, buy two, get a deal, buy three, get a deal type of situations where phone number is not involved. Customer doesn't need to identify. They just need to buy the right amount of product and get a discount. Now, a merchant who's participating in these deals offers these discounts to consumer, sends the report via the scan data reporting, and gets the refund and some incentives for having done this for their consumer through Altria, right? Loyalty discount is a lot like multi-packs, but with an added caveat is that the customer needs to be identified. And to identify the customer, only the phone number is required, right? So the customer needs to identify. So it would look like this: you walk into the store and you buy 2 packs of Marlboro, and you're given a discount for just having bought 2 packs of Marlboro. But then the clerk will tell you, hey, if you give us your phone number, we'll give you an additional $1 off. Right? So that's the loyalty component, if you give us your phone number. Because then once that phone number is captured, additional marketing ensues. Consumer digital trade. Consumer digital trade is the latest thing that Altria has rolled out, perhaps last year. And it has to do with the fact that now even the smallest retailers can participate in the programs that are in the hands of consumers. So imagine there is a program out there that a person who smokes Marlboro, right, goes and signs up on Marlboro.com. A person who consumes Copenhagen goes and signs up on Copenhagen.com. As a result, they have a consumer loyalty account with manufacturer, with vendor, with Altria in this case, where they're given perks for consumption of these products in ways of points, right? So each product has a unique code that is entered, and then a purchase is confirmed, and they accumulate points. These points can be redeemed for coupons, for products, for swag, or whatever. So let's say that a consumer wants to redeem their points for a coupon for a product. The way that it happens is that a consumer says, all right, so I want to get a coupon, for Marlboro. And it costs them X amount of points. At the time when they're redeeming, the app will ask them, where are you going to redeem this coupon that we're about to give you? And show the stores that are in the area geographically. So this can only be done on a mobile device where there's location thing is turned on. So a consumer will see all the nearby locations that are participating in being able to redeem that coupon that the consumer is about to get. And this is the consumer digital trade, and every single, the smallest little merchant can participate in that deal. Being able to be present in this app as one of the choices where the coupon can be redeemed, and then being able to redeem this coupon on their point of sale system, when the customer comes and says, "Hey, I have this coupon." So that's the digital trade stuff. And Altria does this with their manufacturers, with their retailers. And these are the initiatives that significantly increase profit margin for the retailers. And so participating in these deals gives you the competitive edge because you can be assured that all the big enterprise players are doing this to the maximum, right? So let's go back to the Circle K, AM/PM, 7-Eleven. All of them are doing all of these programs to the maximum. So their offer to the consumer is incredibly good. And it is always the agenda for the smallest retailers to compete with those guys. And this is the way. This is how they're able to offer some of these deals to their customers because the tab for these deals is picked up by the manufacturer. Now you know. Let me show you. This is the picture, and it's gonna get confusing, but this right here is the deal that this store, this chain, is running themselves. This one is the deal that is sponsored by the manufacturer, right? And they do get perks from the manufacturer for having run these deals on their own loyalty app, right? So this is not Altria app. This is AM/PM app, okay? And we're going to touch about loyalty apps that are owned by the retailers and the benefits in the eyes of the manufacturers. There's definitely a benefit, but this is what we're seeing here, right? So this right here is the program as part of the scan data. This is the app that the consumer can get, right? And if the consumer get this right here is a tier 3 operation. So this retailer, AM/PM, brings in a customer straight to Altria for this program here and gets rewards for it. Okay, that's part of the scan data program that retailers can participate in, stuff like that. And let's move on. Reynolds, by the way, this picture here shows Cool and Winston. This is ITG company right here, right here. Now let me get back to Reynolds. So Reynolds is very much like Altria, minus the digital trade program. At the moment, they're not doing digital trade program. Everything else is the same. Reynolds incentivizes their merchants for reporting transaction level data that it's tobacco related products. They want to see all tobacco products reported as a sale on a weekly basis. And then they offer multi-pack offers on their brands. And I've only listed Newport just because I'm not familiar with the rest of the brands, but every brand that Reynolds has actually has a program for, Newport or whatever what have you. Loyalty discounts work exactly the same way that they work with Altria. And there's the nuance with these loyalty discounts is that each loyalty discount has a specific code associated with it. And so it is not something that you can do with an app like Loyalty Zoo, for example. This is specific providers are required to handle these kind of programs because we have to communicate back to the Reynolds, for example, the code for the loyalty that was utilized. And that is where it kind of gets a little bit complicated. And again, I want to point out that this right here, I believe, is the brand for Reynolds, and this right here is the brand for ITG. And these are Altria brands. Okay, and so what we talked about so far right now is the requirements that are driven by the manufacturers, and this is what I was trying to communicate on this chart. The implementation timeframes for these programs, for Altria, we do it in about a week and a half, 1 to 2 weeks. month and like a half a month is what I was trying to say. With Reynolds, it's a bit longer. The whole process takes about 5 months to get completely certified, validated, and onboarded, and to the point where you can start monetizing your sales more. And with ITG, is extremely quick. It's just 1 to 2 weeks. And ITG doesn't quite do any of the loyalty programs at the moment, but we have the capability to do them at any time when ITG, as the manufacturer, decides to start running these promotions. So if at the time when you're looking at this program, it very well may be the case that ITG is now doing something. To tell you the truth, when we started with Altria, Reynolds wasn't doing half of the programs that they're doing now, and they've come around and now are doing way more stuff. So, and I know for the fact that later they will do more. Now that we have covered the tobacco products, let me show you some of these things that are crossing over as a retailer, because you have to know these needs. These are the needs that are driven by other manufacturers that will be present in these stores. Because remember, we're only using tobacco as an anchor to identify the type of stores that we want to target for merchant services, right? And so in that context, tobacco is not the only product. It's the only product that we use to identify the merchants. But then once we've identified the merchants, we recognize that if they are of this particular category, the one that's a C-store retail operator, then they're going to have additional things like lottery, alcohol, non-alcohol, snacks, candy, check cashing, and deli, right? And this is all this other stuff that they have as needs that we're going to cover about now. So let me go through these slides really quick. And here we are. Manufacturer funded coupons. So this deal that I've talked about for Altria doesn't only pertain to Altria. Let me give you an example. So every Sunday, not sure the name of them, but I imagine that every city would have their own Sunday paper, the one that would have a little insert of coupons in those. And those coupons are manufacturer coupons. And at the bottom of that coupon, it'll say, at participating stores. Okay, that is what we're talking about, because Pepsi, Coke, Monster, Colgate, all of them are doing these manufacturer coupons where there is a process for the retailer to get paid back. Most of them are done through clearing houses, but we know the clearing houses, so you can reach out to us and we're happy to share that kind of information and those details. But essentially what we're talking about here is the retailers, manufacturers drive these kind of needs for retailers to have, because if they're out there throwing out coupons for customers to get, you as a retailer want to be able to accept that coupon, because how else are you going to get that guy into your store as opposed to your competitor's store? This is what it's about. Cash payout, the next item on the list. What is a cash payout? So in the most basic and the obvious context, lottery payouts, right? So that's a huge content here. You have to have ability to do cash payouts because people come to your store to redeem lottery items, lottery tickets that have winning amounts that are up to a certain amount. I think it's $500, I believe. Maybe it's different. Don't quote me on that. But in any case, when money leaves the register, that's a sort of an abnormal functionality to certain cash registers. Clover is one of them. And so you want to be able to do payout transaction. You want to be able to integrate that payout transaction with things that customers buy. You want to have reports that show you where money is leaving. And you want to be able to give out other payouts, not just the lottery stuff, right? Vendor payouts, owner draw are some of the other examples that would commonly be used in these kind of stores where money leaves the register and there needs to be a record of it. So that's your cash payout. Retailer initiated discounts. A lot of retailers, the little stores, know their market, know their inventory. And every single one of them will, one way or another, utilize discounts, promotions, BOGO deals, combo deals, maybe with their deli departments. But they will use this tool to bring in more business, right? Or to get rid of the inventory that's about to expire, or just they need to free up certain shelf space for something that's coming in. Whatever the reason may be that they need to move their stuff faster, they'll use discounts. And retailer initiated discounts is what we're talking about here, right? Other manufacturer discounts, not to be confused with coupons, right? So where does this come into play? If you are an industry expert, you already know this. If you're not, you're about to learn something interesting. Most vendors that stock the C-stores, convenience stores, are what's called self-managed vendors. A retailer, a store operator, does not necessarily call them and say, hey, I'm about to run out of Coke, bring me more Coke. That never happens. What happens instead is that a retailer, the store operator, and Coke agree upon the shelf space that is designated for Coke. And that's it. Then Coke and its representatives and its affiliates and its distributors are managing that shelf space to its best performance, meaning they'll stock it, they'll dress it with the promotional material. But now when they dress it with the promotional material, that's where the clash with the point of sale happens. Can you handle the promotions that we're running? Okay, let us look at these promotions. Here's an example of a Red Bull promotion that is sponsored by the manufacturer of Red Bull, right? So they're saying 3 for 6 or 2 for 5. Whatever the regular price of these, when you check out 3, it needs to be $6. When you check out 2, it needs to be $5. Can your register do this? This is an example of Stella Artois beer, right? Get a rebate. Now, this right here is a coupon, and right, so the retailer's participation in this minimal, but again, this is a very perfect example of how spread out these discounts are and how much you need to be able to accommodate for. All right, so this is a Coke deals right here. Let's look at stuff more. I love looking at these. Gatorade, snacks, beers, Coronas, Modelo, Ultra, Monster, more snacks. Here's your Monster deal. And now these are clearly, you can see that these are manufacturer type of deals because they come with content and material that is clearly developed by the manufacturers themselves. And then you'll see stuff like this. This right here is the retailer trying to move, their wines, and they're saying, you get 5% off when you buy 6 to 11 bottles. You get 10% off when you buy 12 to plus bottles, right? So this is a retailer coming up weekly ad items and BOGO deals. So they even exclude. So they advertise as a store, right? The weekly deals that may have some retailer vendor sponsored deals. But this right here is just a purely retailer doing their own thing. Perfect example. We're going to get into the lottery. So here's the lottery example. Clover, alcohol, cigarettes, lottery. Okay, there it is. It's all there. And if you look at the back, that's the deli right there. Okay, so this is the store. This is the store that you are looking for. They have these things. They have tobacco, they have lottery, they have alcohol, and they have a deli section right there. And that would put them in the middle category, the second category, this category right here. The other manufacturer discounts. The fees and the EBT split are the other two items that we have to deal with. Fees are the bottle deposits, recycle values, and other required fees. Maybe they're just running surcharging. Now, if they're running surcharging, you know that there are cash discount apps out there that can handle that kind of stuff. And then if you're talking about EBT, we'll show you the solution for that. But the EBT is required by the government. And so if your store also sort of bleeds into selling some food items like grocery items, some vegetables, maybe some meat and stuff like that, and the store accepts EBT, then they need to make sure that those items are kept separate, right? So alcohol cannot be um, sold with and purchased for with EBT or tobacco or lottery for that matter. So that's what that is. And then the scale integration and unit measure, this is for the delis because they sell stuff by the pound and there's the scale involved. And so for the for the store configuration where deli is involved, then you're talking about scale stuff. Okay. And that basically concludes the needs. I feel that I've dove deep enough to keep you interested, but not deep enough to not detailed enough to kind of get you discouraged. So now we are on a pricing page, and I'm going to break down these needs and how CSI Works solve these things. And I'm also going to show you something that is not publicly available, but is available because you have watched this presentation. And to be able to get that deal, we're talking about this right here, the $69.99 deal, C-Store Essentials. This deal right here is not available on App Market. You would need to reach out to me. You can do it on info@csiworks.net, or also I'm going to share more contact information later down the road, so you can reach out and we will honor this deal because you saw it, but you need to mention it that you have seen it in this presentation. And let me kind of explain to you how the pricing works. We obviously have these two price plans, the $29.99, which gives you the ability to handle the tobacco scan data reporting, the reporting that I've mentioned in the very beginning, for one of the manufacturers. Your choice. We can do it for Altria, we can do it for Reynolds, or we can do it for ITG. And the price of a running of single tobacco scan data reporting is beneficial because our competitors don't give that option. For them, is just this option here, all or nothing. That's it. Right. So you could just run one of the manufacturers if you want. For that, you'd have to pay $29.99. And what will be included in that package is strictly what's needed to handle the scan data reporting, which is the weekly reporting for one of the manufacturers, ability for to do tobacco additional attributes. This is just required information from the requirements. All you need to know is that we can handle it and do it without you having to manually enter the information. All of that is included. The EBT split is not included. However, if you do need it, it's $9.99 a month in addition to this $29 here. Tobacco vendor multi-unit program, Altria, Reynolds, or ITG. So regardless of whichever one you choose, you'll be able to do the multi-unit deals. These are the multi-packs without the phone numbers that I've mentioned. Same thing with ability to accept coupons. You will be able to accept coupons, I apologize, for Altria. You'll be able to do the tobacco vendor loyalty program for whoever you chose, whatever programs are currently running. The age verification technology is available at $9.99 on this plan, right? Or if you want to run your own loyalty program, it's your store app that not your own. Like, let's say you have a punch card solution, right? So customers need to come in 5 times or 10 times and get a discount. So we're talking about that here. And if you are running that program and if you wish to run this program, we offer it for $20 a month, okay, on this plan here. Soda, snack, beer vendor promotions that we talked about, like Red Bulls, Monsters, Cokes, all of that. We have the ability the technology to handle that. The app is called Mix or Match, and on its own, with just this plan here, is $10.15. It is included on this plan here, you'll see. Okay, the payout management is the app called Negative Tender, and it costs $6.15. It is not included with this price plan here, but it can be purchased on its own. And if the scale work is needed, that app is $10 a month. Okay, so the price plan that's $49.99 is significantly discounted than the first plan because one manufacturer for $29.99 or all three manufacturers for $49.99. That's literally one of them free, basically, right? Even more than that. So it's a significant discount just because it is a significant discount just because you get to report on all three manufacturers because you're able to report on all three manufacturers and you will have your what we will include additional from the $29.99 plan also into this mix is the age verification and the mix and match, which will handle all of your other deals, right? Soda, snacks, monsters, you can do even your own in-store promotional deals. All of that will be included here. And that is the $49.99 plan. Now, the $69.99 plan includes everything that's listed. It's a significant saving to your merchants that can be taken advantage of. But this deal is not necessary for every single merchant, and because they need to have the need to have all of these requirements met, only then you can actually offer it. But should you have a merchant who could take advantage of this deal because it is a significant discount, we will gladly honor it. All you need to do is just reach out to us. In summary, there are 300,000 perfect Clover merchants in the United States. From that 400,000 number that I showed you, I think the perfect focus is about 300 of them. Tobacco product as an anchor is a way that you can identify the merchants, okay? Because you will find the merchants that sell tobacco product, and then you will quickly be able to identify them as one of those three buckets that I've created for you. Vendors, manufacturers have the needs, and we've explained those needs. The retailers also have the needs, and we have explained those as well. And I've kind of covered the apps that CSI Works has and showed you the pricing for that. And now let's talk about how to contact us and what other resources we have. So for sales, you can reach out to CSI, to me. My number is 619-246-8236. We now have a dedicated support line that is handled by support people, 760-542-2178. We have a lot of knowledge resources out there. So if you're into written content, you should go for CSI.works. And notice I'm not putting the S, but once you hit these are the forwarder domains, right? So once you hit it, you'll be taken to the appropriate place, but these are easy to remember shortcuts. CSI.works takes you to our written knowledge base. Pointofinteraction.net takes you to our YouTube channel. And more content like this, the one that you've just set through, is available on isotalk.net. If you're trying to find the apps by CSI Works on Clover, you can visit cloverapps.net, and that will forward you to the appropriate link for all of our apps. Thank you.